This video is intended for those of you with little or no SketchUp experience. By the end of this video, you will have successfully drawn this simple air hockey or miniature hockey table, whatever you prefer to call it. So let's go ahead and dive into it. The first thing that I always like to encourage students to do is actually set up something called a scene. And on the right hand side here, you're going to see a play button, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 from the bottom. And you'll see that I already have a couple of scenes created. So I'm going to go ahead and do what students will commonly do, or newbies to SketchUp will commonly do. And if you see how I am way out in space, I'm out near the moon. If I have a scene set up, what I can do is I can click on that scene and it'll automatically pull me back to the exact same view that I want. Now, you probably don't have anything on your model right now, but I would still encourage you to set up a scene. So once again, 1, 2, 3, 4 up from the bottom. I'm going to click this plus sign right here. I'm going to wait for a couple of seconds, and boom, there we go. We now have scene 1. This is a printed set of blueprints, and scene 3. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that, and now we can actually dive into the SketchUp design itself. Next thing I'd like to encourage you is to learn what are called quick keys. So if I go ahead and hover right above this pointer area, you can see that it says select, and then in parentheses there it says space. So at any point, if I want to activate the pointer tool, I would tap the space bar on my keypad, and that would activate it. Now, I just do this intuitively. I've been doing SketchUp, what has it been now, 10 years? And I very, very rarely ever actually look at this toolbar on the left-hand side. I simply rely on the keys on my keyboard. Additionally, there are some other tools down here. There's 3 little dots, and I would say 90% of your SketchUp design is going to probably be the ones that are default. The thing that you may pull out of here eventually is a protractor, maybe the offset tool, but we'll talk about those more in depth later. So let's go ahead and start by drawing this rectangle on the bottom. So the rectangle on the bottom, which is right here, is 2 feet by 4 feet by a 1/2 inch thick. So I'm going to activate my rectangle tool by tapping the R key on my keyboard, or I can also click over here, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to drag, and this is the single point of confusion. Please click, drag, and let go of your mouse entirely. Let go of your mouse entirely, and you're going to start typing in the dimensions. Now, I'm going to go ahead and type in 2 feet, comma, 4 feet, and I'm going to hit enter. Now, a really common point of confusion is that students always think, or newbies always think, that they can click and enter the dimensions in here, but you cannot physically click there and enter in dimensions. So I'm going to do that again for you. Type the R key for rectangle. I'm going to click, and I'm going to let go of my mouse. Now, if you would, please look down here while I'm typing, and I'm going to type in 2 feet, just one little tick mark after it, comma, 4 feet, and I'm going to hit enter. If I do that same rectangle and I just type in 2 comma 4, SketchUp is going to assume that that is inches. You can see how much smaller that is. All right, now that we have that done, the next thing that I want to do is I want to activate my push-pull tool, and I'm actually going to pull this up by a 1/2 inch. So push-pull tool is the 4th one down. You activate the push-pull by tapping the P key on your keyboard. And I'm going to pull this up, and once again, I'm going to let go of my mouse, and I'm going to type in 0.5, and I'm going to hit enter. 0.5 is the same thing as 1/2. I'll do that again, and you can also, oops, going too far back, yep. You can also type in 1/2 and hit enter, and you will arrive at exactly the same location. All right, next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add some dimensions on here to make sure that I actually drew my initial rectangle correctly. So to do that, I need to find my dimensioning tool, which is this one right here. It has a 3 on it with 2 little red dots. If you do not see it on your toolbar on the left, you might have to find it in here. So I'm going to click on that. Now your dimensioning tool requires you to click 3 times. So I'm going to go ahead and click once, twice, and I'm going to pull it out and click 3 times. So that's 2 feet. I'm going to go ahead and click once, twice, 3 feet. Or sorry, not 3 feet, 3. And then last but not least, I'm going to go ahead and click once, twice, and I'm going to pull this out as well. Now, another common point of confusion with students is that they will confuse the dimensioning tool with a tape measure tool. Your tape measure tool has a totally different symbol to it, but my tape measure tool actually has a tape measure, and my dimensioning tool has a little pencil with that miniature symbol up above it. Second point of confusion is that if you click on top of another dimension, you can see here how SketchUp thinks that I want to edit that dimension. Okay, so if I wanted to add a dimension going this way, for example, I'd have to click from this corner to here and then pull the dimension out. The final thing that we're going to do with this shape that we just did, which is going to be 1/2 inch ACX plywood eventually when we build it in the shop, is we're going to go ahead and turn that into something called a group. So I'm going to go ahead and activate my pointer tool by hitting my space bar. I'm going to click on it 1, 2, 3 times until it turns entirely blue. And I'm clicking with the left click button, and I'm clicking 3 times with my index finger. So I'm going to click on it 3 times, 1, 2, 3, right click, and I'm going to go down to make group. Now that we have our base layer drawn, let's go ahead and start drawing these walls. The next tool that I'm going to use is actually the rectangle tool again, and then I'm going to jump over and use something called the offset tool. So I'm going to go ahead and tap the R key on my keyboard, or I'm also going to find the rectangle on the left-hand side. I'm going to draw a rectangle on top of my original rectangle. And then if you notice here that my rectangle actually is 2.5 inches thick. So I'm going to go ahead and tap the P key, and I'm going to pull that up, let go of my mouse, and type in 2.5, and I'm going to hit enter. If you'll notice here is that I have a piece of a box, which is exactly 2.5 inches. The next thing I need to find is my offset tool, and if you tap the F key on your keyboard, it will activate that offset tool. But the tool itself actually looks like this. It's a circle with a circle and then a red arrow pointing to sort of the top right corner. Now, the offset tool is amazing in that it allows you to draw the exact same shape on the inside. So for this, the thickness of these pieces of wood is actually going to be 1/4 inch. No, sorry, not 1/4 inch, excuse me, 3/4 inch. So I'm going to type in 0.75 here in a second. So once again, I need to find that offset tool. You may have to go into this additional toolbar to find that, or once again, you can type the F key. So I'm going to click, and I'm going to start dragging. I'm going to let go of my mouse. So click, start dragging, and you'll see how it makes exactly the same shape. I'm going to let go of my mouse, and then I'm actually going to type in 0.75 down, and I can't do this, but I'm typing 0.75, and I'm going to hit enter. So I'm going to pay attention to that dimension in the bottom right corner of my screen, 0.75. We'll hit enter. Bingo. And that actually is the exact same thickness as this wall right here. All right, next thing, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this middle piece. To do that, I'm going to activate my push-pull with the P key, or go over here, and I'm going to click and I'm going to push that down. Okay. And if you notice how I'm holding down my index finger on my mouse, and I'm actually pointing to this bottom line right here, and I'm telling SketchUp that, hey, I want you to stop there with the push. If I let go, boom, we should be good. It looks like we have a border that's drawn all the way around. All right, next thing I need to go ahead and draw in is these joints right here. And these joints are going to be something called butt joints. To do that, I'm going to activate my line tool, or my pencil, which is right here. And it's just a matter of connecting the dots. So if I click right here, I go from right here to right here. You notice the color? That's on the blue axis, which is vertical. To rotate, I'm holding down my rolly on my mouse, and I'm rotating. If I want to move from left to right, I can use the hand key, which is H, and H allows me just to pan left to right. The rolly on my mouse allows me to zoom in and go back and forth. So I'm going to tap the L key again. We're going to go ahead and draw these joints in on all of the sides. Now, my guess is that you are not going to be nearly as fast as me at this, but just be patient with yourself. it will become more and more intuitive. All right, so we have some walls drawn. The next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to draw these goals right here, this goal right here, and then to complete our design, we need to draw, is what would you call these? The strikers, maybe? So the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to draw in the goals. But before we do that, we want to actually lock this into a group. And I should maybe explain what a group is. So a group is basically when you lock the drawing so that when you draw on top of it, the other things don't stick to it. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go ahead and activate my pointer tool. And I'm going to triple click on this, 1, 2, 3, until it turns entirely blue. Now another way to do it is if you click on it once, then you right click and you go to select all connected, it'll also turn it blue. So either triple click, 1, 2, 3, right click, make it a group, or select one face, right click, and go down to select all connected. All right, I have this grouped. So now the beauty of that is I can go ahead and draw this piece here and this piece here, and it's not connected, and it's not stuck to that piece. All right, let's go ahead and use our tape measure tool by activating the T key or the tape measure over here on the left-hand side. And we're going to go about a third of the way in, and we're going to click and we're going to drag over. Now, if you notice, that's on the green axis. If you want to force your tape measure to go in a certain direction, watch what happens when I tap the up arrow. See how it goes on the blue axis? So that's the up arrow. This is the left arrow. Right arrow is going a different direction, and the down arrow is going a different direction as well. So I'm going to go ahead, once again, T key, click on this line, I'm going to drag over, and I'm going to type in 4, and I'm going to hit enter. Once again, you cannot ever click here. You have to click, let go of your mouse, and then type in the 4. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to click here, drag over, type in 4, I'm going to hit enter. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by drawing in these goals. To do that, I'm actually going to use my line tool, which tap the L key on your keyboard. Line tool's over here. And it's just a matter at this point of connecting the dots. To navigate, I'm using my rolly on my mouse, and I'm also clicking and holding it down. But I'm going to go ahead and X marks the spot, click and draw. Now, this thickness on this dimension is exactly 3/4 of an inch. So to do that, I'm actually going to activate my tape measure tool again. I'm going to click and I'm going to drag down. I'm going to type in 0.75 and I'm going to hit enter. So what I can do next is actually X marks the spot, draw a line across here, okay? And if you pay attention here real quick, if I try to pull this up, it won't let me right now. And the reason is that this is not a solid shape. So I forgot a line here and I forgot a line here. So I'm going to go ahead and tap the L key again. And I'm going to connect this side, tap the L key again, connect this side. And now if I tap my push-pull key, which is over here, or the P button, I can pull this up until it sticks right to this edge right here. All right, that looks pretty darn good. There you have it. You made it through the first video. So I want to remind you that SketchUp is not easy. I've been doing SketchUp for, like I said, 10 years. And my guess is that your learning is probably going to go in plateaus. You're going to feel like you barely navigate, and then boom, you can navigate. And you're going to start to understand how the software itself works. If you made it this far, please consider clicking that subscribe button and jump over to video number 2, where we're actually going to design the strikers, which are the round pieces. We'll put the goals in and finish those off. Additionally, we will also prepare this into a set of workable or buildable blueprints. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.